Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Political Talks with JB. I am your host, Julian Boykin, and today I am joined by Mr. Joe Collins, who is running for CD Congressional District 43 out in California. Mr. Collins, how are you doing today?
No, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Thank you for making time to do this interview. I know it's timing is of the essence, and your schedule is tight right now, trying to run this
Yeah.
campaign. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the position that you're campaigning for.
Well, I'm running for Congress in California's 43rd district. This is the district that I actually grew up in, South Central Los Angeles. And so our district spans from Inglewood all the way down to Lomita. We have the airport area, West Carson, the West Mount, West Athens area, Hawthorne, Gardena, Torrance. And I'm a U.S. Navy veteran, 13 and a half years, served in the military, get out to get involved in politics. My entire goal is to rebuild the community and provide an increase in value of life for the people who live in my district.
Okay. When it comes to Second Amendment rights, what is your stance on that, sir?
I'm pro 2A. I have a lot of guns. I love my guns. I cannot get rid of my guns. Although I think that they need to start utilizing the background checks, especially here in California, to allow people to be able to buy guns and own guns. But yeah, pro 2A, everybody needs it.
When it comes to police reform, whether to implement police reform or defund the police department, South Central has its fair share of run-ins with the law. What
Mhm.
is your stance for that? And what platform do you have of trying to make sure that the police department is doing its part in being fair and reasonable when it comes to all citizens?
Yeah, I think when it comes to the issue of police reform, I am an advocate for police reform. This is actually something we've been working on ever since George Floyd died with the mayor of LA, with the police and the sheriff's department. And we've made a lot of headway on a local level when it comes to looking into the backgrounds of the police and how many times, reports have been filed against them, seeing the laws that could be used as targets to target, blacks and Latinos and white people who live in our communities. And we've been pretty productive. I'm not a fan of defunding the police. I don't care what people say that defund the police means. If you want to say that defunding the police means put more money into social programs, then say that. But when you talk about defund the police, I'm not a fan. We live in an area that is high crime, whether it's gang violence, domestic violence, sexual assault. When it comes to children, violence against children, we have a lot of that here in our area. And, we don't have the perfect police or the sheriff's department. We understand this. But I would rather have a department who's willing to work with us than no department at all. So I'm pro police, pro law enforcement, but I'm also pro reform.
When it comes to jobs in your district, what is your plan for bringing more jobs to District 43?
My plan to bring more jobs into District 43 is, one, we have to incentivize the opportunity zones that President Trump has signed into law to bring more jobs back. And not just any jobs, I want quality jobs. I want jobs where people make enough money to where at the end of the month, they can take their family on vacation type of jobs. But in order to get more jobs back, we have to get California government back in line with the federal constitution when it comes to taxes. To develop and build in Los Angeles, California, my district specifically, it costs a lot, which makes the cost of living go up. So we have to get this government back in line with the federal constitution, and then we could bring more quality jobs back and improve the lives of the people who live here.
When it comes to the issue right now with our children going back to school versus virtual learning, I know there are issues where some kids who don't have laptops, who don't have internet access at home. What plan do you have to ensure that no child is left behind and ensuring the safety of our kids so parents can feel safe to let their kids go back to school if they have to make their choice? So if they can't do virtual learning, what plan do you plan to put in place to make sure that the kids will be safe returning back to school?
I think that one, because we have not even had enough information when it comes to COVID-19 shutdown or COVID-19 in itself, just the amount of misinformation that's been going around, I would personally, I would reopen the schools. I mean, just like H1N1, just like swine flu, just like Ebola, nobody ever shut the schools down. And, even when the CDC update the website a couple of, like last week, and they said that only 6% of the 160,000, 200,000 deaths, whatever they claim, died from COVID-19, they said that the majority of the people who died had two or three different serious pre-existing conditions, which influences their deaths. And when you look at that number of people who actually died from COVID-19 is roughly around 8 or 9,000. I don't think that's enough in order to keep our economy closed. I don't think it's enough to keep our schools shut down. But they're using this as a fear tactic. So I would, from my perspective, we don't have a cure in sight. I don't care if they're talking about, using stem cell research to cure it. I don't care if they're talking about we have a prototype drug to cure it. None of that is no guarantees. Like, we have to continue to live our lives the same way that we've been doing. So I would personally open up the schools.
When it comes to abortion and late term abortion, things of that nature, what is your stance on that? Do you have a plan as far as trying to prevent late term abortions? Because I know some people still believe, that women should be allowed to have late term abortions. There's an issue of when do we detect life? Some people say life is at conception. Some people say life is when the child is born. What is your stance on that when it comes to abortion?
Well, I'm absolutely pro-life, but on the same token, I don't tell women what to do. That's bad. Every single man who is married, I'm not married anymore, but every single man who's married knows you don't tell your wife what to do. You don't tell women what to do. I don't feel like you need federal funds to pay for an operation or procedure that is a personal choice, especially when you talk about taking a life. Life is created at conception. So I would never support a bill that would allow the federal government to pay for any type of abortions. I would never approve a late-term abortion. I think that's murder, in itself. But on the same token, if you can make your own money and you want to, pay for abortion, that's something that you have to take up with yourself and your God. I would never approve it. I would never allow federal funds to go towards Planned Parenthood. But, if that's a choice that you want to make, then by all means, this is America. You're going to have to live with that death on your own conscience.
When it comes to Medicare for all, what is your stance on that?
Medicare for all, I think that it would be a complete disaster, it would be chaos, because how are you going to pay for Medicare for all? And we can talk about taxing the rich, we can talk about taxing the poor, we can talk about taxing this, that, and the other. But the fact of the matter is, we have entirely too many people in America to support a Medicare for all. Now, if you need medical coverage from the government, I believe that your check should be taxed in order to pay for your coverage, over the years. But just like with anything else, if you want to participate in a social welfare construct, then you are the person who should be taxed the highest. If you do not participate in the social welfare construct, then your tax dollars should not go to a Medicare for all. Personally, I love my private insurance. I love my private health care. I can see my doctor whenever I want to. Being in the military killed the Medicare for all idea for me, because we know that sometimes the health care may not be up to par. If the government is paying for your health care, the government gets to decide who lives, who dies, who should be priority. And I don't believe that that is a choice that the government should make.
Okay, great. I will give you the floor and let everybody know why they should vote for you.
Well, Julian, I appreciate you having me on on your show. And listen, here's the deal. Maxine Waters has been in office for a very long time. And, the quality of life has never been up to par. We are 25% below the poverty level. We're ranked almost last when it comes to education. We have no quality jobs. We have no infrastructure. We have no economic development, no economic plan, and this is a result of the leadership of Maxine Waters. So if you love this, by all means, continue to vote for her. But if you want something different, new ideas, a person who wants to see our community strive and be productive, then by all means, I am the guy for you to vote for. My website is joecollinsforcongress.com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Collins for Congress 43 and Twitter at Joe Collins 43rd.
Mr. Collins, thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Collins. Have a nice day, sir.
Thank you. You as well. I appreciate you.
No problem.